Hey, you guys, I just want to talk about my life. Um, Things that I've been through and things that some women are going through now. Different experience that I had made in my life. Um, and I don't want to go too deep on this video, but I do want to share some things about myself so people could know a little bit about me. Um, I grew up in Chester, Pennsylvania. I was born October the 28th, 1981. My mother name is Judy and my father name is Stephen. Um, I would say, for real, I was meant to be here. Ooh, this is definitely my story. I would say I was definitely meant to be here. I was meant to be here because number one, my mom was a married woman when she went out there and I guess you would say conceived me or made me. Um, she was married to my dad Steve, and she ain't no other way of saying it. She had me by someone else, and when her and my dad got back together, she told him, I'm pregnant by another man. And I would not know how he felt, or even how she felt, or what was the cause of her, whew, of her doing whatever it was. Um, Honestly, I'm not mad at her because I'm here. Um, it's just looking at the overall of it. And when I get into it, you understand my tears. You will understand my tears. So, To sum it up, my dad accepted me as his child. My dad, Steve, he is my dad because he did everything for me. You know, he may not have been, he could have probably been 100%, but overall, he was at least 70%, and he did the best that he knew how to do by raising me and my brother, my oldest brother. My oldest brother was his biological child. His name was Stephen Lamar Towns Jr. And you know, my dad, when we was little, he wasn't there a lot. Like when we needed him. My mom was there the most. My mother. You know, it was hard for my mom trying to take care of us. It was hard for her because my brother, I had to go through so much of stuff with my brother growing up. Like, he put my mom through so much. And, you know, when kids get a certain age, they start stealing. I remember when my mom first lost our home. So we lived in Chester in a beautiful home up until I was about 9 or 10. And then we had to leave that home and move with my grandma. We were stable till we was 9 or 10. And we had to move with my grandma, Geneva. But before we moved with my grandma, which is my mother's mom, we had so many beautiful gifts as kids, especially on Christmas time. We had the best Christmas ever. Like, we were really stable in the house. And that was the most stable we have ever been, is when we had that house. I remember every Christmas, maybe not every Christmas, but mostly every Christmas, every birthday, my mom planned the biggest barbecues. Even the neighborhood came over for our barbecues. And my mom gave us a great upbringing until we had to leave that house, even though my dad wasn't there as much, because my dad ended up with another lady and he had other children. And my mom ended up helping him with his other kids too. Oh, I'm so sorry, y'all. Like, when I start crying and honestly start snotting, the snot starts to really go. But anyway, I'm gonna be honest. Let me pause this for a minute. I had to throw them tissues away. I didn't want to put it on my table, but anyway, I can't remember where I was at, but back to that was the most stable home um, that I was at. Even though, like, my dad was supposed to pick this up every weekend, he was doing that consistently, but then I remember him not coming. And my dad had this beautiful lady he was involved with, and she was like my other mom, for real, for real. Like, when I was with my dad, when he was stable picking us up, she was definitely like another mom. I was like so close to her, and still is to the day. That's the crazy part. And my dad stopped dealing with her. He ended up having other children, and to be honest, I know that the lady that he had the kids by, at that time, I know she wasn't fond of me. I'm not sure if he told her, like, oh, you know, my wife or ex-wife at the time cheated on me and this is the result. But my dad never made me feel like he told anybody. My dad is my dad, and he never treated me like I was a stepchild. He never treated me like I was an outcast. Like, my dad is my dad, and I commend him. He raised me as his child. Even though he wasn't there, like he was should have, like he stopped coming around for a little minute. But my dad was the best. He might have not gave my mom financially, and maybe to her he could have did better, or he wasn't the best to her, but to me, I couldn't ask for nothing better. Um. Anyway, my dad was consistent at one point, and I got close to the other lady before I met my brother's mom. My dad had other kids, so their mom. And once my dad stopped picking us up, I believe he was more trying to juggle the two households, trying to see us and trying to um, be there for his kids he was living with currently, once him and my mom really was finally done. I remember going to the other lady's house, and I didn't feel like I feel like she liked me, but she was kind of envious. And maybe she wasn't. I just felt something from her. I felt like it wasn't no truth or true love there. Now when I see her, I remember those things, but it seemed like she don't remember how she treated me. And now when I see her, she like, "Hi, Ned, da 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 da." And sometimes like this I have to tell y'all the truth. Have this feeling like, do you really like me, or are you being fake? And at one time, I always used to worry about how people feel about me because I'm a loving person. I don't have hate in my heart. So I always worried about how people take me, or if they like me. And now I'm gonna be I'm gonna be truthful. I just recently stopped worrying about if people really like me or not. I am really growing up from that. So again, my dad, once he got with her and had other children, we didn't see him as much. Now, my first child, well, the first child my dad had by the lady. I'm not going to disclose none of their names. We are close. Me and my brother are close. Um, And to tell you the truth, I never told him my story. He might see it. He might see it on here, but even if he know, he never talks about it. He never brings it up. He never say net. I heard that you're not really like daddy's child. Nothing. And I thank God for that, because I believe he might know, but respectfully, he loves me. I'm his sister. And that's just that. Like, and if he was to say anything to me, I would respectfully tell him, but I would be like, boy, I'm your sister. Like, whatever, get over it. And that's that, because we're like so close. Like, we grew up together. I was able to be a good big sister to him. I basically took care of him. Like, we grew up together. Like, my mom had him a lot, and I was over his house a lot when he was little. Like, we grew up together. Then my dad had another child when I was like in my 20s. And to be honest, y'all, I don't know him. I know of him. I know him if I see him, and I know he's my brother, but I didn't grow up with him. I was already grown, I already had my own family, and I wasn't raised up with the last child my dad had by um my brother's mother. So we didn't grow up together. And we barely know each other. We know we brother and sister. When we see each other, it's like hi, but I barely even see him. Like, I might have seen that boy twice in my life, to be honest. And the two times I'm like, hey, hi Darian, and that's it. Yes, his name is Darian. Um, but I don't know him personally, and I'm not saying it to be smart on here. I'm not saying it like and maybe I should try to get to know him, but I'm gonna be honest, if I have not been brought up with you and you okay with how our relationship is and I'm okay and we really don't have a relationship. We respectfully know each other just like me knowing of somebody on the street. And maybe that's not good and maybe that is good. I don't know, and I don't know if we would ever have a connection or if we would ever try to even build a connection to um because we family. I don't know. Maybe after this video, we may build a connection. And I don't think it'd be hard because he know me. I know him. I know that's my brother. And I respectfully will respect that he is my brother. He will respectfully respect that I am his sister and I'm his big sister, but he don't know me. He run into my kids. My kids speaks to him. He speaks to my kids. He run into my mom. He speaks to my mom. But like my other brother, we've been brought up together. We've been raised up together. He in his 30s. I'm in my 40s. Um, like we only 6 to 7 years apart. Like we played together. We were kids. We had fun as kids together, and we was brought up together. And I was able to whoop his behind as even though I was 7 years older than him, and I was a child myself. But not like whoop his behind. But if he did something wrong, I would pop his hands and stuff like that and correct him. But yeah, that's my brother. Um, my oldest brother, the one that's older than all of us, by my mom, he died. Um, and going back to the story when we grew up, he became a teenager. My dad wasn't around like that. This is when my dad was slowing up from seeing us, and he started first of all started stealing first. So started stealing credit cards and got clothes and sneakers and stuff like that. End up in juvenile detention centers, then eventually stole cars. He even stole my mom's car. That's the crazy part about it. I got in some stuff with him. He dragged me with him. We in his so-called grown woman's car, a girl that he got with, but a grown woman at the time in her 30s, and my brother, and he's a teenager. He always liked older women. And he wrecked her car and we had to walk the trestles and run. So none me or him would get in trouble. I didn't even know I was in a stolen car. My brother got me in a whole lot of stuff, but I didn't know what was going on. I was just out with my brother in this car and then he crashed and now we had to jump the fence, walk the trestles, run, and I was scared because I'm looking down and I'm walk in the trestle. So hopefully I won't fall through or nothing like that. Like, I've been through a lot. And all my brother, he coached me through, don't look down, just follow me. Don't look down, just follow me. Um, Me and my brother been through a lot. And if anybody know anything about trestles, you could be looking down and you can see a highway. You could look down and you can get really seriously hurt. You can die. Um, but God. So when I say my mom went through a lot with her son, that was the beginning of my mom going through a lot with her son and me going through it with her because she only had me. And it really worked my mom's nerves. Like, she ended up having anxiety from that. Really bad anxiety. And him not coming home at night, we riding up and down the street looking for him. Then as he gotten grown, just going through a lot because he ended up on drugs and just so much. Her taking him in, me taking him in, and that's the beginning of my brother drug life. Meeting women, they on drugs too. Not all of them, but some of them. And it was very hard for him to stop. He stopped for a while, and then he started back up, and the real story, that's how he died, from drugs. How we got unstable. So I took you to my brother teenager stage. I took you to through my childhood, the things I seen. My dad having children outside of my mom. I was a prodigal. I was a part of my mom having a child outside of my dad. Now my dad having a child outside of my mom. I remember looking out the window between 4 and 5 and my mom saying we are divorced. Like, little stuff I can remember. Me crying, even though my dad, I don't never remember my dad ever living with us, but me crying, realizing that they are going through a divorce. And I don't know why it was so hard for me at 4 or 5. Give me a moment. I'm gonna keep these right here, y'all, because even though I am grown now, just talking about my story and really, really going back to my childhood and telling you guys about it, it's really hard for me. And probably because I never really talked about the beginning part of my childhood. So, grown-ups cry, y'all. I'm 42 years old. And grown-ups cry, y'all, okay? And I think it hurted me when I was 5 or 4 or 5, looking out that window like, yo, my mom and dad really not together. I knew what it meant. Like, when my mom was like, we're finally divorced. Even though I didn't live with my dad, but I was hurt. And I remember feeling that pain. And you would say, well, how could you have been so hurt when your dad didn't live with y'all? Or you don't even remember him ever living with y'all? Probably because, remember I said my dad was consistent at one time, coming to pick us up every weekend. But soon he, I guess, left the other lady that he was seeing that loved us and treated me and my brother as her kids. He ended up with another lady and had kids by her. And that's when I knew it was totally like over, because I didn't see that lady anymore either for years. Not until I got old, like in my late 30s. That's when I reconnected with the lady that treated me like her child. So I say this: we need to really have conversations with our children, because the way they remember things may not be the way that we see it. Because my oldest daughter, tell me things that I can't perceive it. I can't perceive it or see it the way she see it. But she perceives it that way. And whether it's to you, shade to you or not, that's how the children perceives it. Moving forward. And I had to say that because I am now learning to understand another person's view and how they see things. So I'm going to leave it right there. Anyway, I remember looking out that window and saying, I guess this is it. And that's when from there, my dad ended up with another lady. He ended up having other kids. And I grew up, like I told you, with my little brother. And that's when my oldest brother started to get into trouble. And my dad, again, was trying to juggle two families. Now that I'm older, I can see that. Because I remember going over to my little brother's house every weekend or every other weekend with my dad. I remember the lady watching me a lot. I even remember my dad not being around when she even had me, okay? My dad was out, okay? And she had me. And I wasn't really pleased with being with her because I didn't feel comfortable with her. And I also remember when my dad was trying to adjust me coming over there, him spending time with me, even with at the lady house, and I can tell they were going through some stuff because I was there. And I can hear stuff as a child. So going through that's like putting your kids through stuff that we not realizing that we're really putting our kids through. So if you know that your parent is with someone that seems like they don't take to the child or take to you as when you was a child, then that's hard on the child. And that was hard on me. So I'm going through that. Then I'm going through going back home with my mom after the weekend is over. Then I'm going through my mom meeting somebody, and this person is in our life. And I could even see the abuse my mom was going through with her new partner. And that was not physical, because he didn't hit my mom, but he was verbally abusing her with words, name calling her, making her feel low, and giving her low self-esteem. Me looking at that and seeing that as a child, I was confused. I'm gonna be honest, I didn't know if it was right or wrong. And I'm a child, and sometimes we think our kids know, but I didn't know if it was right or wrong. And then when I realized as I grew that it was wrong, I didn't like the guy anymore. So my mom was going through that too. along with my dad not picking us up consistently, along with her struggling with bills, along with her losing her home, along with after her losing her home, that's when she stopped seeing her friend that she started seeing. And she was seeing her friend for approximately 10 years. And this is why we had the best Christmas, the best birthdays, because of this man. I remember him doing whatever my mom asked financially. But verbally, I did not want my mom with this man because she been through verbal abuse with this man. My mom ended up leaving this guy and us still writing my brother because my brother got sent away to jail, and her giving to her son through the mail with money because he was in jail. And now my mom meet this man, and now I'm angry. How did I get angry growing up? Because the age of 4, my mom sat me down and told me that the man that was raising me, 4 or 5, is not my biological father. And from there, I feel like I was going through mental depression. I'm going to tell y'all my story on the next part. Not in this video, but I'll tell you my story in the next video.